If you are currently washing down your expensive fish oil supplements with your morning black coffee, you are likely flushing about 80% of that investment straight down the digestive tract. It is a sobering reality. We often treat our morning health routines like a mechanical checklist. Wake up, grab capsules, dry swallow them, and feel productive. We assume we're getting the reward, but the body doesn't care about your checklist. If you don't provide exact biological signals, premium supplements pass right through. This brings us to a deep dive into omega-3s. For professionals dealing with inflammation or brain fog, understanding timing is the difference between wasting money and actual absorption. To understand why the empty stomach routine is flawed, we look at how the body processes fat. Omega-3s, specifically EPA and DHA, are fat-soluble. Your body literally cannot dissolve them in water. Oil and water simply do not mix. Consequently, your body requires two tools: gallbladder bile and pancreatic fat-digesting enzymes. These tools are not just hanging out in the stomach waiting, they are strictly deployed on demand. Swallowing a pill with coffee fails to send the fat signal. The system stays dormant. Minimal bile is secreted, and without bile to emulsify the oil into tiny droplets, your absorption rate plummets to roughly 20%. Think of the gallbladder like a motion sensor floodlight in a driveway. It only turns on and releases bile when it senses actual, substantial fat coming down the pipe. Taking an isolated pill with coffee is like trying to tiptoe past that sensor. You move too light and too fast, and the light never trips. Data from a BDD pharma clinical trial confirms this. They found that a very low dose of lipids, around 2 grams, can stimulate the gallbladder to contract just a little bit. This creates a partial fed response. The light flickers on for a second, but it doesn't stay on. To achieve full absorption, pushing that rate from 20% up to 90%, you must consume dietary fat. It doesn't need to be a massive, greasy meal. Just a few grams of fat from a couple of eggs, avocado, or almonds is enough to fully activate the system. Beyond just what you eat, the physical structure of the oil inside the capsule plays a massive role. In pharmacies, you are essentially looking at natural triglycerides and processed ethyl esters. Triglycerides are the natural molecular structure of fat found in fish, and have been in the human diet for roughly 600 million years. Our bodies know exactly what to do with them. The TG structure consists of a glycerol backbone with 3 fatty acids attached. When you consume a TG supplement, digestion follows a highly efficient evolutionary pathway. Your pancreatic enzymes easily detach the fatty acids. Your intestinal cells absorb them, and they are immediately reassembled for transport into your bloodstream. Studies consistently show this efficient process results in plasma concentrations of omega-3s that are 50% higher than their synthetic counterparts. In contrast, ethyl esters have only been in the human food chain for a few decades. The manufacturing process strips away that natural glycerol backbone and synthetically binds those raw fatty acids to a molecule of ethanol, which is alcohol. It sounds counterintuitive to attach alcohol to a daily health supplement. However, this choice is driven by oceanic pollution and industrial economics. Our oceans contain heavy metals like mercury and industrial chemicals like PCBs. To make fish oil safe, manufacturers use molecular distillation. This industrial process involves boiling the oil at high temperatures to completely remove those dangerous toxins. The problem is that natural triglycerides have a low boiling point. If you heat them too much, the natural oil simply burns and turns rancid. By binding the fatty acids to ethanol, manufacturers dramatically raise the boiling point. This makes the oil highly malleable, allowing them to blast it with high heat. This lets them purify it completely and concentrate the EPA and DHA levels without burning the oil. Premium brands then go through an expensive reconversion process. They put the natural glycerol backbone back on. However, the vast majority of manufacturers skip this vital step to prioritize profit margins and high concentration numbers. Even the FDA-approved prescription omega-3 Lovesa is an ethyl ester. It was approved because specific patients need massive, highly purified doses that only this form provides. However, this synthetic form comes with documented biological costs. These can include flu-like symptoms, unusual body odor, and in severe cases, even pancreatitis. This occurs because your liver has to process the toxicity of the ethanol. This alcohol is released when digestive enzymes finally break that synthetic bond. Furthermore, that abysmal 20% absorption rate on an empty stomach is highly specific to ethyl esters. When the ethanol is stripped away in your gut, those free fatty acids are left stranded without a backbone for transport. They initiate a biological chain reaction, literally scavenging and stealing glycerol backbones from other existing molecules in your digestive tract. It is essentially molecular grand theft auto happening in your gut just to get the nutrients into your bloodstream. This inefficient chemical breakdown, combined with taking the pill on an empty stomach, leads to the number one reason people throw their expensive fish oil in the trash: the dreaded fishy burps. This is essentially a location problem. On an empty stomach, the capsule breaks down far too early in the highly acidic environment of the stomach, rather than surviving to the alkaline intestines. When it dissolves in stomach acid, it releases harsh volatile compounds like trimethylamine. The intensity of these burps depends on the total oxidation value, TOTOX. TOTOX is a metric used to measure how oxidized or rancid an oil has become due to exposure to oxygen, light, and heat. A score above 26 indicates significant oxidation. Rancid oil produces far more volatile gases when it hits stomach acid, and those gases have nowhere to go but straight back up the esophagus. To combat this, there are 3 golden rules. The first is to take it with your largest, fattiest meal of the day. The physical protein and fiber in a large meal act as a roadblock, slowing down gastric emptying and preventing the capsule from bouncing around in pure acid. Second, take it in the evening, specifically in the middle of dinner. By burying the capsule in a buffer of food, you ensure any minor burps happen while you are entirely unconscious. Third, maintain consistency. Taking it at the same time every day normalizes the bile response. If you still struggle with sensitivity, there is a fascinating mechanical workaround. Freeze your fish oil. Extreme cold solidifies the liquid inside, acting like a time-release lock. This frozen, solid capsule is significantly harder for your body to break down, ensuring it survives the stomach acid and only thaws once it reaches the safety of the intestines. Alternatively, you can look for different structures like krill oil, which uses a phospholipid structure that mixes more easily with stomach fluids, or even algae-based DHA. The ultimate payoff for getting this timing right is profound, especially for brain health and the glymphatic system. This system is a specialized waste clearance network for your central nervous system, essentially a nighttime janitorial staff for your brain. During your waking hours, this staff is almost entirely disengaged because the brain is too busy processing conscious thought. But when you enter N3 slow-wave sleep, your levels of norepinephrine drop, causing brain cells to physically shrink. When the cells shrink, the space between them expands by up to 60%, allowing cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF, to rush in. This rush of fluid increases the clearance of toxic proteins like amyloid beta and tau, the very proteins that clump together to cause cognitive decline and Alzheimer's, by 80 to 90%. This fluid movement is facilitated by microscopic water channels known as AQP4, located on the end feet of astrocytes. You can think of these as the drain covers in the brain's plumbing system. As long as these drains are securely anchored by a strong magnetic-like polarization, the waste exits perfectly. However, due to aging or stress, these channels can lose their polarization and drift away from the blood vessels, clogging the plumbing. Research demonstrates that maintaining high levels of omega-3s actively protects against this loss of AQ4 polarization. The EPA and DHA you absorb work to inhibit the inflammation that causes those channels to detach. By maintaining your omega-3 levels, you are keeping the magnets charged and the drains locked in place. One final lifestyle hack to maximize this overnight power wash is your sleeping position. Gravity plays a huge role in this plumbing system, and studies show that sleeping in the right lateral position, on your right side, is the most efficient posture for glymphatic clearance. It optimizes venous drainage and helps CSF move through the brain to clear out waste. To optimize your biology today, consider the 1-inch move. Move your bottle of omega-3s from the medicine cabinet directly to the dining room table. Putting it right next to the salt and pepper shakers serves as a visual cue to take it during your most fat-rich meal. Your body isn't a spreadsheet. It is a brilliant mechanical motion sensor. You just have to know how to trip the light. To recap, take your omega-3s with your largest fatty meal, make it your dinner to avoid burps, and stay consistent to keep your brain flushed. Respect your biology, optimize your timing, and let your body do the rest. Stay healthy, and we will see you in the next deep dive.